Okay, so I believe this is where we left off, right? We're making a Pattrstorage interface for movie players, right? So these B patchers are going. They have right now. They have three different functions. One is this. Whoops. One is the slider that we're probably going to use for the multiplication for the mixing, and then one is this number box, which is used for rate of the movie playback, and then we have a U menu up here with different movies that you can choose to read into the movie player. So you guys all have this, right? Yes. Great. Do you have a UDP send also? No, yours looks just what you got, just like what I have here. Yeah. Okay, great. All right, so we're gonna start just by building this interface first, but we'll eventually be sending it to an engine, and the engine is going to hold the different movie players and so forth. So we're gonna need to send it using UDP send object to this. What did I do? To this engine. Okay, so new object. What is going? Okay, UDP send. Oh my God, my thing's going slow. And then you have to give it a host symbol, local host. Wow, I'm going to probably have to restart Max. And then let's use something that's easy to remember. 5 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For the port. There we go. All right, I'm gonna and then send each one of these the outputs from your B patchers to the input of the UDP send. Let me save and let me close and try restarting Max and seeing if that will fix anything. I need to update. The update, if you guys get a message about updating, you should update. I read it this morning. I didn't have a chance to actually install the update, but the update does fix a lot of bugs. Interface. There we go. Okay. So take a look really quick before we build any more on the interface. Let's look at the messages that are coming out of these B patchers. Put a message box here and patch to its right inlet. And if you move this slider up and down, you'll see it saying 1 molt and then the value between 0 and 127. And then if you attach a message to the other B patcher, you'll see it and move that. You see that one says 2 molt. Why does it do that? What did we do to be able to set that up?
It says 0 molt. What would that mean?
Well, we used a thing called patcher arguments. Mm-hmm. If we open up, go to one of your B patchers here and go to object and say new view, or actually say open original and unlock it, you'll see all those #1s there. That is what is making, so those get replaced with whatever patcher argument we give. So in the first slider, we gave it a 1. The second slider, we gave it a 2. And if you close that, and this time do this and say object, or right click on the B patcher, go down to object and just say new view, it will show you those populated patcher arguments in there, right? It's one file name $1. So that's why it's, or in this case, we were moving the slider, right, which is this 1_molt1. So just to refresh, How do you set patcher arguments on the on B patchers? That's right. You have to go into the inspector. When you instantiate patchers, like when we did that simple effects player or whatever, that one, if it's a regular patcher, not a B patcher, you can put the arguments in the instantiation of the object. But with B patcher, you have to go into inspector and put them in here. You can instantiate the arguments in the B patcher when you're first making that object. You type a new object and you type B patcher. Before you click off of that or hit enter, if you said at args and then put 1 at args1 and then click off of it, and then it becomes a transparent B patcher, then it will automatically have that argument built into it. But you can always just open up the inspector, and right here under arguments or args, it's 1, and you can hit edit and change it, or you can just double click on the 1 and change it down there. So let's add 2 more sliders. 2 more of these B patchers, and patch those into the UDP send as well. And let's change the arguments on these so that they have unique messages. So I duplicated this from 2, so I'm looking at 3 right now, so I'm going to change this to 3. And I'm going to change this one from 2 to 4. Great. All right, so now let's go ahead and if you want to, you can test out these new ones, put a message down here, and it should say 4 molt and then the value, right? And if I change like a file, do you guys have a bunch of files here, or do you only have, I think we may have only done 2.
Yeah.
So let's fix that right away. Let's fix that now. Go back and open your original object, open original, and go to this U menu and open the inspector and menu items, edit, and put in these. Oh God, maybe I can zoom in somehow. Maybe not. Crash test.move. Darn it, how do I don't have the overall zoom in enabled. Can you guys read that?
Nice try.
Okay, hold on. Here. I will copy this and put it on a text edit and put it at that's reminders. Where's text edit? Oh my God. Where's my text edit?
There it is.
There it is. Keep in doc. I use that all the time. All right, and paste. And crash test.move, comma. Put the commas in there also.
Doesn't matter if they're in this order.
No. Oh, and that red ball.mob, that's supposed to be red ball.move.
What's that video?
DD dots.
DV ducks, as in digital video.
Yeah.
Oh, DVD ux. I'll take DVD ux for 5,000, Alex.
Settle down, Sean.
I'll take anal bum cover. That's an album cover.
What? What are you talking about?
The rapist.
I'll take the rapist for 4,000. That's therapist.
That's the worst one.
What are you talking about?
Oh my god, Celebrity Jeopardy on SNL.
Wow, yeah. I was very confused.
That's that's one of the main gags is that Sean Connery will always intentionally misread the clues and move spaces around just to mess with Will Ferrell. My favorite was where, in Final Jeopardy, where he drew half of a picture of somebody doing something inappropriate with a donkey or something, and they're supposed to reveal the how much you bet on the other half, and they won't show it. He's like, "Come on, Trebek, show him what I wagered."
Yeah, this is all on camera. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, we're recording this for posterity. Hey, it's fine. This is college.
This is Cal Arts more.
Yeah.
More so.
No.
All right, you guys all done with this?
Yeah.
All right, great. Let's move on. If you don't have them all, it doesn't matter. Just get some of them.
So we just save that and it automatically updates in the.
Yeah, exactly. Once you save your source file, all of the B patchers will automatically will conform. Okay, and so now you should have bunch of different values here, right? So change your value here to something else, and you can see now this is what we chose for this one, 4_file name, and then dozer.move. Cool. So we'll be using those in a minute. We'll hook those up to the engine and parse them out to actually manipulate the movie players. But first, we're going to build the Pattrstorage system that keeps track of these different various slider positions and also gives the ability to interpolate or fade between those stored presets, and also gives you the ability of making like cues with a go button and so forth. We're going to build all that first. Particularly because you'll see that that the engine, once we build it, is not going to run very well. But then hopefully we'll get enough time to move into OpenGL today, and then we're going to update that engine using OpenGL, and you'll see night and day difference. It'll be smooth as anything. All right.
Smooth as what?
Yeah, I'm already pushing the limit. I didn't want to go anywhere with that one. I'm not going to say. All right. So let's do some Pattrstorage stuff. Let's make a message storage window. And client window. And send those into the Pattrstorage. And if you click on the client window, you'll see all of your movie values. I mean, your various slide position, the various user interface objects in those different slider B patchers, right? They're just labeled with a 1, a 2, and a 3 for the duplicates. But so it's a little bit confusing. But you're not going to need to actually know the names of these scripting names, as long as it's created unique names for everything. Then you'll be able to recall those settings, and you won't really need to keep track of what it's called.
Okay, I know I say this every week, but can you make that bigger?
Can I make?
The screen, like, zoom in a little bit.
Oh my God, I'm at 1200 by 800.
Am I the only one?
Wait.
Why is our projector so small?
I don't know. That's what's going on. This projector is zoomed.
It's a zoomed
zoomed in or something?
It's Zoom.
It's
Yeah.
just I can't see anything on that screen.
Oh,
Yay.
for love of
Oh.
Technology.
Video.
Wait, should we tip it up?
Thank you.
Yeah,
But that's not as fun. I want to tip up. Next week we'll get some binoculars.
And I'll go get my eyes tested, I promise.
Actually, that's what I'm going to do next time when I can't zoom in something and you want me to get it.
Yeah,
Just go
yeah.
up. We're here.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that's the maximum zoom, darn it.
Oh well, unfortunately.
All right.
Just turn the projector to that wall next to it.
Yeah, right. No, I never get it back.
Perfect.
I never get it back.
You and Jesse should just switch seats.
There's a few different.
All right. So, in order to we can grab this from the Pattrstorage stuff we did the other day. Let's grab the store and recall. Did we do that the other day? I think so. Let me see. Open recent. What was it? Patter introduction.
8.1.
Yeah, here they are. Grab these right here. Did you find this? 8.1?
Is it pattern
Two bangs,
intro?
2 ints, and
Yeah, and the prepend store and the prepend recall.
oh, I see. Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to put that in over here, because we're going to use these to store the queues just like we did in the old patch. So go ahead and let's start with all of the sliders down. Move all the sliders down. Set the rates to all 1. And make sure you got different movies in each slider. Okay. And we'll store this as our Q0. So this will be like the blackout before anything is faded up, because all of our sliders are down. So you can leave just this the way it is, have this be a 0, and just bang this bang right there, and that will store. Go ahead and put a message down here, and you can see what this message is composing. It's just saying store 0, right? If you go to if I go to storage window now, you can see that these are my storage slots, and it has stored a queue under the symbol or under the number 0, and the mult sliders, which are those sliders, are all set to 0. You can see 0, 0, 0. Okay.
Hey, Jackson.
Yeah.
Sorry, my message isn't sending anything. Oh,
No, mine
sorry.
What'd you do?
I know what I did.
Did you put it to
I
the
got it.
pattern? Yeah, but other people are having problems.
I put it on the wrong.
Other
Patch it
side.
to the other side.
Oh.
Yeah.
wow.
Remember when if you want to preview some kind of message, it's got to go to the right inlet of that message.
Everything about it.
Okay. So now let's move these sliders move these sliders around. Give them some new values. And then go down here and change this int to 1 and bang to store 1. Take a look at your storage window, and now you have a 1 queue. Now, bang this over here on recall where it's recalling Q0, and everything should go to the out. And then change this to 1, bang, and it recalls those presets.
Oh my god.
That was like 5 hours of work last night to not use Pattrstorage to do this exact same thing. So it's amazing what Pattrstorage can do. I didn't tell. Yeah, you weren't here earlier. I was telling them about how I was trying the earlier example that I gave you guys. I tried to bring it to its natural extension and actually build a model view controller that will change its parameters and shit like that. And I was up till 3 a.m. getting it to work.
What you just did changed my entire perception of this entire class. I'm been waiting for that moment
Yeah.
all semester.
It's here, finally. Yes, and I was saying that next time when I teach this class, I'm going to do this earlier
Yeah.
and not even bother with the call stuff.
This is awesome.
Yeah. So,
Sorry,
yes.
my storage window, I'm not seeing my faders in there. My sliders.
You don't see any molt slider?
No.
Then in your, go back to your source file for the slider, the movie vowels,
Mm-hmm.
and make sure your slider under the inspector has a variable, has a scripting name, a var name of molt slider. If it doesn't have anything there, then it won't show up. Is that what it was?
Oh, I don't have the name. Okay.
Yeah. So it has to have a scripting name for the auto patter to pick it up and add it to the patter storage. See this auto patter?
Sorry.
This isn't recalling my presets.
Hmm?
It's not recalling the presets. Or sorry, like the things we stored. Prepend recall isn't.
Okay. Did you go to 0? Did you recall 0 and nothing goes down?
Correct. And I recall 1 and nothing goes up.
Okay. Let me take a look and see what you did real quick.
Yeah. Hopefully
You have a
something's
toggle.
toggle not supposed to be.
I think it's supposed to be a bang.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
On the
Yeah,
My
it needs to
bad.
be a bang.
Okay.
See if that fixes it.
Do I have to change their scripting name in the 8.3 as well?
Huh? No. They don't have a scripting name in 8.3 because they're a B patcher. I mean, it gets passed on with the auto patter. We'll put this auto patter in this patch. We'll pick up any sub patches or B patchers or patcher or external patchers that have an auto patter in it. It will automatically grab all of that data and add it to its patter storage.
Can you just pull up your storage window so I can
Yeah, I did.
there? Okay.
Title it bar name, say it like nothing happened.
Let's see. I'm about to recall. Yes.
No.
Thanks. Apparently I
Okay.
also
Scripting
can't
name
see
molt
the-
underscore slider.
No, they're both the same shape. The only way I could tell is whether it's circle or an X flash.
Oh no, I know what I mean. Apparently I didn't like really see. what
And
we
I'll
did
say
last
that.
week.
And
Oh well, now I know.
it should now.
The Lily syndrome.
Double click your
Okay. Poor
add a character and then take out a character under auto pattern. Maybe you
Just
have
so
to
you know, you also can't
rebuild
see
your
things
auto
you
pattern
see.
library
So
Let's see
it's
how
by
I-
Yeah, I
reinstantiating
stopped
it.
there before.
Just add add a number or something to it, or a space, and then take the number out, and then there. Now see if it shows up in your storage window. In your client window. Sorry. Well, poop. Try saving and reopening your file.
Okay.
I think it's probably because things have changed since things were instantiated, and sometimes just opening the file again will fix all that. All right, so let me move on to the next part of this. The next part of this is interpolation. You can interpolate between sequential queues by sending the patter storage a float value instead of an int. See, when we're recalling here, we're recalling, right? If I put a message down here, this is sending the message recall 1, right? If I sent a float and don't even put the word recall, just send a float. And now take this float and go into the inspector and make its minimum be 0 and its maximum be 1. And now just increment that up and down, and you'll see that it's interpolating to those values. And the really awesome thing about this is that, how those are interpolating is dependent on where it's ending, you know, what the target value is. So the slider 3 there is moving way faster than slider 2 because the ending value of slider 2 is lower than the ending value of slider 3. So it's able to actually make those adjustments in how it's scaling the in between values. So this is kind of the mechanism that we'll be using for making fades, for fading between cues. Is yours working now, Jesse? Let's add the ability. Go ahead and go back into the inspector for this and take out the minimum and maximum. And let's automate this. We're going to create a signal ramp that will automatically animate that value. And the object that you use to do that is called line. Okay, so we want, by default, line will deal in ints. The only way to make it do floats is to give it an initial argument of a float. So we can just put line 0. That will set it for float output. And there's a specific syntax for line. It looks confusing, but you'll get it fairly quickly. You can send it a single number and it will just jump to that number. But you can send it 2 numbers and it will go to the new number. It'll go from wherever number it's on to the new number over the second number that you give it. So if you gave it, in this case, in this help file, it's giving 3 values. I could say instead of 50, 150, 1000, I could just say 150, 1000, and that should count to 150 over 1,000 seconds from where it is right now, which it's at 0, I believe. Yeah, so over 1,000 milliseconds, so that's 1 second. You can give it 3 numbers, and it will give. You can set an initial value, and then where you want it to go, and then how long it takes to get to that number. But the way you do it is first the value that your initial value, put that in like a 0, and then comma, and then where you're wanting it to go, and then how long you want it to take. So that's on the help file, but let's do it on ours.
There's no comma in between.
The second and third values, no. There is only a comma after the first value. And really what that comma is doing is actually sending 2 separate messages. A comma is just a shorter way, instead of having 2 message boxes. If you put a comma in your message, it will send everything before the comma first, and then it will send everything after the comma.
And is there a way to make it not milliseconds?
I don't know. Maybe. Let's see. Is there anything in here?
Max speed primarily milliseconds.
Price. A lot of times you might be able to use max time code. I don't know.
Okay, I was just like.
I don't know. Usually I've always done milliseconds. So if I wanted to go from 0 to 1 in 5 seconds, I can say 0 period comma 1. Oops. Make sure that you're sticking with floats. 0 period comma space 1 period 5,000. The 5,000 doesn't need to be a float. And now if I click this, it should count from 0 to 1 over 5 seconds. And it does those fades for you automatically. So let's
Sorry.
Hmm?
Oh, now it did. No, it didn't.
you probably messed up your message here.
Okay.
Try making the opposite message also. Go from 1 to 0 over 5 over, let's do a over
Oh no, never mind.
1 second.
1 period, comma, space, 0
Period
space.
1000. And make sure your line down here is a line 0, and make sure your float, this is a float and not an int.
Yep.
And it doesn't have any minimum or maximum values set. And although that wouldn't have mattered probably because we're only going from 0 to 1 right now. Your line is not giving you any numbers coming out the other end?
No.
That's probably just some simple thing. What?
Period, comma, space, 1 period. There.
Oh, your line needs to be line 0 period.
Ah.
send
We have
as
the
a
same problem too.
float.
So.
Otherwise, it won't understand the numbers it's getting.
That makes so much sense, so much works now. It's America.
Great.
This is so awesome.
Okay.
Let's start.
Dude, I'm sorry. Can you say the difference between the two boxes again? I just didn't understand that.
One. Oh, so there's 3 things here. There's the 0, the 1, and the 5000.
Right.
The 0 is the what you want it to hop to first.
Okay.
Then 1 is where I want it to land on as after it's finished. And then 5000 is how long in milliseconds I want it to take.
Cool. So you just gave us 2 different like random examples.
Well, yeah, we used 0 and 1. Let's go ahead and let's store a 2. What message would I compose if I wanted it to go from 1 to 2 over 8 seconds?
1 period, comma, space, 2 period, space. Wait, how many seconds? 8 seconds?
8 seconds.
8,000.
Great. That's right.
Hooray.
But we don't have a I believe we don't have a Q2 yet. We only have 0 and 1. So let's store a new Q2. I'm gonna put in different content too on mine. And down here to store, I'm storing number 2, so I put a 2 in and bang that. And now if I go to my storage window, now I have a 2, a 0, 1, and a 2. So this should go from 1 to 2 over 8 seconds. If I wanted to go back to 1 in 1 second, what would it be?
Sorry, say that again.
Back to 2 in 1 second. I already did it. It's 2 period, comma 1.
Back to 1?
Sorry, from 2 back to 1
Okay.
in 1 second.
We're already at 2.
Cool. All right. So that's working. And we got our storing mechanism. I think we're going to eventually make a better storing mechanism, although I don't know. We'll see. If we don't, then I'll come up with one for next class. We'll make a prettier storage mechanism. Let's see. We got that. We got that. We got that. We got that. Great. Let's move on to making a go button. So that's great for fading between 0 and 1, or between 1 and 0, or between 1 and 2 and 2 and 1. But how do I fade between 1 and 3? Or how do I fade between 0 and 3? Well, I don't know. I haven't actually tried it. What if I set this to 0 first, and then let's go ahead and store a Q3. So now I got a Q3. Now let's make a a message 0 period comma 3 period 2000. What does that do? It does something weird. You see what it is it's actually stepping through the queues. It'll actually step through 2 and then it'll step through 1 and 2 before going to 3. So that's usually you don't want that kind of behavior when you're taking queues. You don't want your mixes to go all over the place like that. You just want it to go to that new thing. So if I want it to bypass queues 1 and 2 and go just fade from the zeros of Q0 to Q3, there's a little bit different syntax, and it's you put in the word recall, like we did back here, recall, and then give it 3 different arguments. The first argument is going to be what you're starting from, what number you're going to start from. So from 0. And the second one would be what you're going to, 3.
Oh, no commas on this one?
No. And no, because these are not stored as floats. Remember, these are our storage windows. We're using ints down here, right?
Oh, so we're going into the Pattrstorage.
This is going to go into the Pattrstorage,
Oh,
correct.
okay.
This is not going to go into the line anymore, although we are going to use a line object for this as part of this. But recall, so yeah, where you're starting from, where you're going to, and what percentage of interpolation. So 0.5 or 0.4. If I send this into the Pattrstorage, it'll give me 40% of going from Q0 to Q3. Now, if I want it to be, if I want to be able to have the whole range of moving from 0 to 3, I'm going to have to make this third value be a wild card. And now I can have a float here that goes from 0 to 1. So, right? Because it's a percentage. Between 1 would be 100%, 0.5 would be 50%. So now, if I'm sending this message, I can go from 0 to Q3 and bypassing Qs 1 and 2. So we can also use the line object to automate that. So we just need a line from 0 to 1 in whatever 0 period, comma 1 period, in whatever however many seconds. 5 seconds, 5,000. Okay, so that's great, but we can make this better. Let's add a go button, and let's add the ability to change this message so that I can have a flexible what my starting queue is, what my ending queue, and the transition time. We're gonna make a mechanism for composing this message to be able to be flexible in those various things. So let's make all of these wildcards instead of just one of them. And we're gonna send it into a POC object. So that's going to create a list of the 3 different wildcards. So do recall 1, recall wildcard 2, and recall wildcard 3. You can use more than one wildcard in a message. If you just send it a list, and what it will do is wildcard 1 will be the first item of the list, wildcard 2 will be the second item, and wildcard 3 is the third item. So we compose this list by using a POC object, P-A-K, right? And why are we using a POC instead of a pack? And actually we want it to have 3 floats, so actually, no, we just 2 ints, and then the third one is a float. Why would I want to use a POC and not a pack here? What is it? What's the difference between a POC and a PAC?
So we don't send the output?
No, not well. I mean, it has to do with when it outputs. But what's the difference?
Doesn't it have to collect it all first?
The PAC will only output when the very first inlet is changed. It will store the other inlets, but it won't send its output until the first inlet is changed. POC will send its output if any of them change. So if it'll become apparent why we need it to do that in a second. Let me just move on. So we're actually going to use a POC and a PAC, right? We're using this POC so that it will just send out our values. We can say send an int box into here, another int box into here, and a float there, and we can say, I shouldn't have deleted I still have it over here, great. And actually this over here, and now I can specify exactly that I want it to go from Q2 to Q3, or from Q1 to Q3 over 5 seconds. Skipping 2. And right, I guess I shouldn't ask you the question about the POC, because the POC actually right now, the POC is not a good idea because it's sending, I changed this and it'll resend out those data values, which we don't want it to actually send a data value out until we hit a go button. But we're going to expand upon this to get that data go button functionality. We're going to add a PAC up here, PACK. This will only output if the first inlet is changed or a bang is sent to the first inlet. So we're going to pack the word go and then the 3 values and 0. It is not. It is not, because we're going to use it. It's going to be the milliseconds which is an int, and we're going to use this last value will be the milliseconds, and we're going to use that to create this message to the line. Cool. So ultimately, it will be converted to a float. All right. So now we got this PAC, and now we can put a int box for the start queue, and do another one for the end queue, and another one for the transition time. And this go, we don't actually need that symbol, but we're just using it so that our first inlet isn't one of these boxes. So what we can do is just put a bang here, so that it will send out the PAC list when we hit this bang. So we'll go ahead and let's compose a message. So we're going to go from Q1 to Q3 in 6 seconds. Put a message box down here. Take a look at how that's composing it. Go 136,000. Okay, we don't actually need that word go. We're going to take that out here in a second. Unpack go 0, 0, 0. So that creates a list. This unpacks the list. We just won't use this first element, which is the word go. We don't need that. And send this to the POC. Send this to the POC and that to the POC down here. And so now I have this go button, and it will automatically compose this message and send it out because we used a POC down here instead of a PAC. That's why we needed a POC. But I missed a step because this is wrong. This last inlet, this is the milliseconds, so we need to use a wildcard message over here. 0, 1, $1. So if it's 6,000, now it will be 0 to 1 in 6,000. Get it? Does that make sense? Take a look at what message it's sending out if you don't believe me. Bang this. See, it's sending 1 6,000. You see 1 6,000 because it sends the 0 first and then sends the 1 6,000 and that replaces the 0. But yeah, that 6,000 gets replaced into that line object, which creates the actual fade. So now you have, and then let's label these, put a comment, start cue. And end cue. Whoops. And transition time. Okay. Is that all working? Does everybody have that? All right. So that's great. We can go. We can execute queues now, but we don't have a queue list. So if we want to create a queue list, that'll keep track of what the next queue is. Is the next queue going to be going from 1 to 2 over 5 seconds, or is it going to be going from 1 to 2 over 8 seconds, or is it going to be going from 1 to 4 over 8 seconds? And then after that, what's the next queue going to be after that? We're actually going to use our good old friend, the Mr. Call, to keep track of just that queue list. Because Pattrstorage really doesn't do that kind of thing. Although you could probably figure out a way to do it if you wanted to. So let's create a call. Whoops, not comment. New object call. And we're going to call this, we're going to give it a name. Call it call queue underscore list. Okay, and let's see.
C-A-L-L?
C-O-L-L. Short for collect. Okay, and let's see. So do you remember the syntax for call? It's got a really kind of weird syntax. You basically just give it a number of the first symbol that you just give it a list. And the first item in the list, it stores that as a symbol, and then all the subsequent items get recalled whenever you feed that first symbol back to it. So if I'm storing this and then I recall the same thing, then it'll give me back the same text, right? So we can just store these real quick. Let's see. Let's just create a couple queues. Message 1. So Q1 will be. We need the three things, right? We just need these 3 items. So 1 will be going from Q0 to Q1 over 3,000 milliseconds. And now, actually, not even bother. Now we're going to store 2. 2 is going to go from 1 to 2 over 5,000 milliseconds. Send that into the call. take a look at your call now. You have those values. You should. Okay. So go ahead now and send a 1 into the call and put a message on this side and send it into its right inlet. You get those values. So we just need to unpack those and send them into the boxes below us. So unpack Okay, so that's part of the queue storage. We just need a way now to, instead of having to send it a 1, to have an incrementing number counter to count through the queues. So let's use counter. Let's see, what's the? I think it means that's the maximum number, right? If it has 1 argument, I can't remember exactly what the syntax. The arguments change based on how many arguments there are. I guess I'll have to open the help file. One argument, the counter loops upwards between 0 and the argument. Okay, so this would count to 200 and then go back to 1 or back to 0. Whatever, we don't really need that, but all right. So then let's create a go button that we'll use to actually increment this counter. Put a just put a bang over here, make it kind of big. If you want, you can make it green background color. Go over here, a background color, click, and then click the color wheel, and then you can click over here and just click green if you want. Send that to the counter. Let's put a int box down here so we can see what the counter's counting. Then send that into the queue list, the call queue list, sorry. So now you can see it's banging straight through there, but I also need to actually make it go, right? So how do I make it actually, when it takes the queue, actually go instead of having to hit this button over here? Let me think about that. Well, I could just add another argument to this unpack. Let's unpack the word go. But and then we could use the word, whoops, and move all these over 1. Then we can send the word go down here to this pack go, and then it will actually send out that list. But the thing is that we're not sending the word, there's no go stored in the call queue list, right? So we just need to prepend go to what's coming out of the call queue list. So did you see what I did there? I moved it so that instead of going directly to that unpack, it goes to prepend go, and then from prepend go to the unpack, which fills in those values, and also will send the word go down to this pack, which will output its values. Let's create a back button Yeah.
Is there a way we couldn't just use the go bang to do that often? We're already banging a signal, right?
Yeah, but we don't, that bang down there at the, you mean this one here?
No,
This?
yeah.
No, it is. Well, it is now. So what I just set it up so that now this sends out a value out this first slider. I added one more item to the list by prepending go, and then used that item, which is the first one in the list, to trigger this pack down here, which sends it out like a go button.
Okay. But if we just hook the bang up to the
To
pack-
this bang down here,
No, if we, yeah, or just straight to.
or straight to there.
Where is that?
The problem is that it would output this list before the values were populated.
Oh, so there has to be like a slight.
Well, it's an order of operations thing. This, the way I had it, the difference is that it completes this before it sends out that list. This, you know, it's a crapshoot. It might not. It might complete the list, but the way I did it, it'll always complete the list. Okay, so let's create a way of going back. So this, just a bang into this will send, we'll increment this number. And then if we wanted to decrement the number, we could use an inc dec, but we're already using counters. So let's stick with that. What we can do is we could store this value in an int. Whoops, make sure you're going to the right inlet, not the left inlet of that int box. And then this will be our back button. Put another button up here and put that into the left inlet of the int. When this comes out, we just subtract 1 from the value. So it's 1 less than whatever number we're currently on. And then we can send that number to, I think it's the second to last inlet of the counter, resets counter to number immediately. And so now this will be our back. Let me give it a different color. I can't see. Background color. My God, this is such low res. I don't know. Maroon? Do I get that choice? Magenta. Sure. So this should go back. So that's going from 0 to 1. And what? Well, it's counting right, isn't it? 1. And if I hit this, does the counter change to 0? Yeah, it does. It's not outputting for some reason. Oh, I don't have a 0 queue stored. I only have a 1 and a 2 stored. That's why.
So what would work if you went?
So if I went to 2 and then went back, I could definitely go back to 1 now. And it should work fine. So that's going back to 1. Doesn't look right though. This is what I had from what we had in the thing last year. Let me see if I can figure out what's wrong with it.
Well, is it because that you in Q1 you stored the start queue at Q0 and then go to 1, and when you were going back from 2, it was starting at 0 then going back to 1.
You know what it is, I believe though? It's actually this right here. So if I'm going from 1 to 2, but I'm incrementing this line with from 0 to 1, then if I want it to go from 2 to 1, I need it to start at 1 and go back to 0 for that interpolation to go backwards. So I need to just flip around this message when you hit that button. How do I do that? That's tricky. Well, you could do it with some set messages. Let's do that, I guess. Let's see. Which one?
Wouldn't a toggle work for that?
I could use a toggle with a switch that's changing and have two different messages.
Yeah, just have two messages and switch which one you.
Or you could have this one set this message to be 0, 1, and this one set it to be 1, 0. That would work too. Let's do that. I think that's quicker. So make a message set 0 period. Oh, put this in quotes so that you can have spaces. 0 period comma 1. Oh wait, I don't know if that's gonna work actually. Send that into just another message box. Actually, into the first inlet of another box. Yeah, that's a symbol though, so that's not gonna work. Let's see. Yeah, I guess we are gonna have to do two messages and do a gate. That's probably the way to do it. So let's make the opposite message here. 1 and 0. And send this into both of them. And let's just put a gate that turns off whichever one we're not using. So put a gate and send this. Make sure you put it into the right inlet of this gate, because the left inlet is for opening and closing the gate. And make another gate. Send that to the same place. Okay, so we want this one to close this gate and open that gate. Oh, make these gate 1, 1s so that, and make this one be gate 1, 0. So by default, this one is already open and the other one's already closed. Sorry, this is taking a little bit longer because I'm having to figure it out as we go along. All right, so that should work. We just need to now make the ability to open and close those gates. So this one will, all right, so let's put a toggle here to make it easier to see what's going on. And this one, just put a 0 here. Send a 0 from that bang into a 0 message, and send the 0 message to this toggle. Make a 1 message from this bang to this gate. And actually, I'm thinking about it. We might have an order of operations problem. So to avoid that, let's explicitly set the order of operations coming out. Instead of doing that, let's use triggers. So we're going to use a trigger bang 0, 1. And so now it will output the 1 first and take this 1 and send it to opening the gate for that, and the 0 to closing the gate for that, and then the bang to pass along its bang, and then get rid of this original line. And so now it will, before it sends this bang out, which starts everything happen, it opens one gate and closes the other thing. And now just do the opposite for the other one. So this one, I need to make sure it's opening this gate and closing that gate, and then sending its bang to the counter. I believe that should go backwards now. Let's see. Damn it. Still doing something weird.
Mine's not going now either.
Did you
Well, like the 1, 2
make
on the start queue and queue is not changing.
what isn't changing? This?
The start queue and in queue, that should be changing, right?
Go back
Oh,
again.
I see, yeah. That's working.
Hmm. 0 to 1 and 5,000. Oh well. I'll try to make this better as far as the back, but the forward definitely works correctly. I'll try to give you a better version of the back later to next class. Let's just to make our lives. Oh well, just leave it. All right, what's next? That's about it. I think we can go ahead and start building the engine now. So let's save this. Make sure you save it as 8.3 interface. And it'll probably tell you to ask you to if you want to save the presets. Whoops. You can say yes if you want. If you don't save, then you just won't have that data. You'll just have to make new queues when you start over, when you reload the program. All right, let's open a new patcher. And I guess actually I shouldn't even close the previous patcher. It'll be helpful to have that one still open. All right, so this new patcher, save this one as 8.3 engine. in the correct place. All right. So first thing is we need to receive the messages that we are sending from the control patch, from the interface patch. So remember, we're sending out on localhost 11111 5 ones. So let's start by having a UDP receive, and then 5 ones. You don't need localhost on UDP receive, just the port. Okay, so go ahead and just put a message on that real quick. Move a slider value around here and take a look at what's coming in the other end. So remember, yeah, we're getting that message 1 molt 3D3 or whatever. And if I change the file name, it says 1 file name. So I have 1 file name, 1 molt, and I believe this is 1 rate. Yeah. So let's start with file name. So we're going to create a route object to be able to route the various file name parameters from each of those B patchers, right? And so what it's going to be is based on the arguments you gave it. You should have given it just the number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Is that right? Did anybody give it special arguments, different arguments? Great. We're going to say route. We know that it's going to be 1 underscore file name for the first one. And then let's do 2 underscore file name for the second one. 3 underscore file name. 4 underscore file name. Hook a message up to the first inlet and hook a message up to the second to last inlet. Change the file name here on the first one to rain or something, anything, I don't care. And then change it on the last slider to something else. And you can see it's routed those to the different message boxes. So this one will always be going to our 4th movie player. This one will always be going to our 1st movie player. That's how we're able to make those discrete by using patcher arguments. So the way route works is if it matches 1 file name, it will come out here. If it matches 2 file name, it will come out here, so on. The last outlet will be whatever it is if it didn't match. So we can just have a cascading routes that are attached to the last inlet of the previous route. So if it didn't, so this is like an if then else, right? If it matches any of these, then come out this outlet, else pass it on to the next thing and ask again. So now we're going to route for the next thing. Instead of file name, we're going to do 1 underscore rate, 2 underscore rate, 3 and 4 underscore rate. So that will give us the various rates from these float boxes. And then our next route will be the molt, I believe is what we called it for the opacity of the movie file, the multiplication. So 1 underscore molt, 2 underscore molt, and so on.
What's after 3?
3 underscore molt
Sorry.
and 4 underscore molt. So then you pass the very last input if it doesn't match of that route into the inlet of this one. And I think that's all the parameters that we have, right? 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. Great. So that should be any messages that should come through these bpatchers should be routed out through all these options here. So we're going to pass these to a movie players, right? Because we need to send these various things to the movie players. Let's put the movie players inside just subpatchers just to make things easier. Make a P, just call this movie underscore playback. Make a subpatcher, and now let's give ourselves our 3 inlets for our 3 different parameters. And jit.movie keep ourselves sane. Let's make this at volume 0, period. Also, might as well to try to make this work well. Try adding an at unique 1, although it's not going to help much.
What would that do?
That will make it not put duplicate frames out. So if you're doing matrix operations on every single frame, then and it's banging at 60 frames a second, but the file is only 15 frames a second. You're outputting those like 4 times, and you're doing 4 times as many calculations as you really need to do, because you're not getting any new frames. So that can help decrease the number of calculations and therefore decrease the latency and lag in your system, and increase the performance of your system. All right, so we're going to pass that one in there. This one will go to, wait, so what's the first inlet? First inlet's just going to be the bangs coming from the Q Metro, so we can just pass it straight in. The second and third will be the read and the rate. The fourth, the multiplication, won't even be sent to the movie player because the movie player doesn't care. We do that further down the line, the mult slider values. So we only need these two. It's read and rate. So menu read, and we can use a wildcard for the file name. Pass that into the movie player, and rate wildcard, and pass the rate into that one. And then we need an outlet to send the matrix from this movie player out. Okay, so now we got our movie playback subpatchers. What was this one again? I think it was read and rate. All right, so file name is going to be the read, and the rate is going to be there. And then we'll have a Q Metro 30 hertz toggle. Also, let's make this turn on automatically when it's loaded. Put a load mess, which is short for load message 1. So when this is first loaded, it will put a 1 into this toggle, turning it on.
Hold on.
Yep.
Yeah.
You type so fast. What's the load message doing?
That is going to, when you first load this patch, it will automatically turn that toggle on. It's loading the message 1 into it. And then we can send the bang into this movie inlet, but instead of doing that, let's trigger explicitly how these are outputting, and let's just go ahead and make the bangs for the rest of the movie players. So let's do trigger bang, 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 bang. We're going to have 4 movie players. So the first one can go into this movie player. And now let's just duplicate this subpatcher and send this bang into that subpatcher, duplicate that, send this one into that one, and duplicate the last one. Send that in there. Okay, and then we just need to hook up the rest of these. File name into the file name 3 into that one, file name 4 into that one. Rate 2 into this one, rate 3 into this one, and rate 4 into that one. Okay. So that should pass on the that will pass on those the messages from those sliders to our movie players, and each one of these subpatches has a movie player in it. And it will also pass on the read messages. Now we need to deal with the mult messages and create our 4-channel mixer. And if you remember, we've done this before. We could just go grab it, but it's not that. It won't take that long. Actually, let's go ahead and instead of having a whole bunch of patch lines going everywhere, first of all, I can spread this out. That will make that give me some more room. Give yourself some room between these subpatchers. Great. I'm going to go ahead and route these patch chords. Route patch chords. It looks better. It's kind of confusing. I could probably clean it up so it's not as confusing by like doing things like that, but I'm not going to.
Where is route patch code?
It's a range,
Oh, I see.
a route patch chords. You can also do Shift Command Y. Now it's more clear where things are going. All right, so let's just add some sends over here. Send 1 underscore matrix for the first matrix. And then make a 2, 3, and 4 underscore matrix. Sends. And this one's going to go over here. This one's going to go over here. And this one's going to go over here. And I'm going to select these. And I'm going to duplicate those and change them from sends to receives. Great. And now this, like we did last time, basically what you do for this kind of matrix mixing is do jit.op for each one of these matrices and multiply it by the mult slider value, and then add the results of all 4 up. So jit.op at op multiply, or you can do just jit.multiply would work too. Jit.multiply. Same thing.
Is there a space after op and multiply?
So just you can do jit.star, jit.multiply, or you can do jit.op at space at op space multiply.
If the P-movie playback boxes don't have an outlet on the bottom, what have I done wrong?
You didn't add an outlet in your
Oh.
right here.
So obvious.
Okay. Great. So those are the same thing. I'm just going to use the jit.star because it's neater. It's neat. So I want 4 of these. Can't mouse today. Don't mouse the boat over. All right. All right. So then we are multiplying by our mult slider value. So those go into the right inlet. So that sets what you're multiplying by. So if the slider's all the way up, it will be times 1, basically. What did we set for this? Take a look, add a message to this. I don't remember if this is going to work or not correctly. Put this, then change your slider value, bring it up all the way. Oh, 127. Let's just change the source file and make it have float output so that we don't have to do any scaling. So just go in here and say open original movie vals and go to your slider, open up the inspector. And down here under Click float output and range of 1 period. And then save it. Why am I getting? Oh, that's just point. Okay, yeah. So that's a number that will actually make sense because we want a number between 0 and 1. We don't want a number between 0 and 127.
What if I'm not getting? I didn't get a number on my message. You just had it.
Did you hook it up to this route? I don't know. We'll come back. So then hook your matrices up to the other inlets. And then we need our little magic JIT.expression, JIT.expr at expr in bracket 0 plus, oh, no spaces in this, plus in bracket 1 plus in bracket 2 plus in, I'll give you time, don't worry, in bracket 3 at inlets, or at inputs, I think. What is it?
Sorry, can you see
Oh,
me?
I know what I did wrong. I said JIT.exp instead of expr.
I got the Lilith syndrome going on.
There we go. At inputs 4. Here, I'll make this bigger for y'all.
Yes. See?
Oh, yes. That's awesome.
There are words there, not just random
There was
pixels.
so much panic running.
None of us want to be the ones taking
And then pass that into each of these matrices. From the output of each of the JIT dot multiplied to each of the inlets of the JIT.expr. And then we just need a window. And give your window a name like output. And send it along. So then make sure you turned on your QMetro. Well, is it working or is it not?
It's
hard to say.
Object get patched into?
Just to a JIT.window.
What's it? Everything. What if on my expression I only have one inlet?
Oh, you need to put at inputs 4 on the end?
Yeah, at inputs 4.
With no space after the 4?
After the at. At symbol, no space.
Yeah, I don't
Word.
Yeah. I'll probably just at expression in all that at input space 4, right?
Mhm.
I only have 2 inputs.
Jackson, can you just pull up that P-movie playback patch again? I think I just have an error in there.
And I might be wrong. I just realized we shouldn't have changed that slider. We should have left it the way it was. So go back and undo what I told you to do. I'm sorry about that. Object, open original movie vals, and this slider, I told you guys I was totally wrong. It should not be, it should just be a normal slider.
So no float.
No float, and the range is 128. No, yeah, you won't need a dot. Yeah. And save that. I think that should fix what I'm having problems with. Hey, it works! Yay!
Speak for yourself.
Well, okay. Make sure if you've saved, did you go back and save your slider and restore it to the way it should have been, not a float output and the range of 128?
Yeah, my problem is.
Then go ahead. Then go back into your stuff and change the file name to something and move the slider around and set the rate to 1 again.
My problem is my JIT.expression only has 2 inputs.
All right, you probably messed up your expression.
I'm sure I did.
That you did what I did, which is that.
There should be no space.
No, it should be expr.
Oh.
I mistyped when I first.
Yeah. Look at that.
Here, I'll go back to that giant jit.xpr for everybody.
Doing this. This big guy.
The one that this goes to.
First and
This goes to-
well, I'm it's not working for me.
How do we go back into the patcher for the movie playback?
What?
It's like it's not
There's no video.
object thing.
Right?
How do you show that patcher?
Yeah.
Just double click on it. No, right click, double click on it. Lock your patcher. Double click.
Oh.
This.
Yeah, I need one.
Yes.
All top.
Then mine's not working either, so I don't think I'm the best person to.
Alright, well. Are those?
Oh, that's in your
Yeah.
Pattrstorage,
Toggle needs to be
right?
toggled.
There's
That's why
only
he
one
said
so you
input
brought
in that.
Open your
Yeah,
storage
it's
window.
the object in that patch you just had
Open
open,
your storage window.
correct?
Oh.
So
In
that's
the
what you've
movie
stored.
playback?
So
They're
nine
all going
Qs.
into one input, right?
Only
Yes.
Yes.
only Qs
Rate
7,
one,
8,
rate
and 9 have values on them. So you probably want to. So that's got slider values, but it's just like these are all zeros. You have a whole bunch of Qs that are all stored with 0 values.
How do you change
how do you can clear
Yeah, I just
them?
put the sliders up and down. Like this. You're on the struggle
Oh,
bus.
just send
Well,
it a
it's
clear
like-
message. I think will dump all the Qs that you have saved already.
Gilly? Yeah.
Sorry, I keep
It's okay.
mispronouncing your name.
I don't think you've ever used my name.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm not saying it,
I know, but it's because I'm always confused by the G's and the J's.
Yeah, everyone gets confused. Oh, we
Okay,
kept the
great.
mouse
So
there.
now let's
So
store.
yeah, what
some
is
new
your
Qs. Let's
expression?
store this
Your
as 0
inputs
with
and
them all
expression
down.
look good. So wait, what? Go back to I think the engine.
And
Oh,
Oh yeah, I just put all the sliders to the top.
store this as.
Wait, you mean for that?
Yeah, I just pull the sliders to the top, and then I hit the toggle button. So I think just go back to the one we just did. Untoggle and toggle.
Oh, here we go. I see what your problem is.
You have your
I see why you
sensor.
were storing a
That
whole
all
bunch of
looks
Qs.
okay.
Every time you change them, you were storing a Q because you patched this into the wrong input.
I'm not actually sure.
And it wasn't actually storing any values
Everything's
except for
looking good.
0
It's
because
definitely
you
a
never
cleaner
did
cache
change
than
any of these
mine.
values.
Can we go back to the what is it? Interface?
So that should. Hold on. Let's go back. Let's clear this again. Storage.
No, it's all b-ball.
Right, so they're sending out.
Everything
Oh,
down.
it is? Oh.
No, that's what I'm saying. That should be fine.
0.
In theory.
There we
Oh, that
Something
did
happened.
something.
Take some up.
Yeah, that's weird that we're not.
Let's store this.
I mean, have you had problems with your files at all in this class? Like, you know, finding them or.
My movies, you mean?
Yeah.
Or- At least like I
Because
did.
I was
but then,
wondering if
I
it's
fixed
like not finding your movie files or something.
What the hell? That was crazy.
No, it's not telling you can't find them.
Okay.
Well, that it worked kind of, but something is going on with your movie players where it was sending read messages.
Sorry, I don't make a point. The sliders attached to the
Why?
number boxes?
There's
Oh,
some
okay.
problem,
I'm
it's
sorry.
like you're skip.
No, I'm sorry.
skipping
Fine. I
names.
was looking at something wrong.
That shouldn't be sending open. It shouldn't be sending blank read messages to your movie players.
You have 5 ones, so that's fine. Keyword at 30. You have 4 banks, which you're supposed to have. Yeah, dude, I don't know. Everything looks correct. Maybe try saving, quitting, maximum,
I mean, it
starting. Sounds stupid, but
Recall one.
Gilly.
yeah, try.
So obviously that's messed up, but you can see it is working with the sliders. So it's not in this. It's in the. It's in your engine probably.
They go on the back.
Oh,
File name.
yeah, I don't know. Mine stopped working. Mine wasn't working.
This is gonna be a little difficult because patches everywhere.
Go back to video later.
Yeah, now I'm not getting any video.
Huh.
We were just a second ago. I wasn't crazy. We were seeing
Yeah. Who knew?
but they're all sent to default now.
But I have a bouncy red ball, so that's cool. I'm gonna try untoggling it all of one
I
and
don't
see
know.
if I can
See,
make
I
it
don't
so I
understand
have
is why you're getting a read
What number under the selection
message
shelf? You still have
to
one.
these.
Yes.
Oh.
Maybe.
Oh.
Is that now?
Wait, say that again?
Mine are all zero.
Oh.
That
Yours should have
fixes
been.
it. Why did they change
Well,
to
also
zero?
this.
Wait,
is
all your sliders are on one?
The number, the
The
one
in
under
flip?
the cider.
What about it?
They're all one.
I accept that. That's the rate.
Yeah, mine all changed to zero.
Mine did too.
So that's why that's why your movies might not be showing.
Yeah, they're all totally working now. Why? I wonder why they changed to zero.
Probably when we resaved the slider thing, it reset the values to zero.
And these start queue in queues numbers, those should be changing when I hit the go back button. Right?
Yeah, the back button's not working yet.
Oh,
so
that's
don't judge me on the back.
Awesome.
I'll fix the back.
There
next
is
time.
so much judgment happening.
Yeah, you messed up something down the line. It's gonna be probably impossible for me to tease out where it is with the time we have left. For some reason, you're sending a
I have a red
read
ball.
message to those menus.
But it's a very dark red ball. You like it dark?
I don't have it right now. I'll still have the e-ball.
It's just here is such a mess also. That this is also wrong. You were double sending that unpack. That could have been it. That could have had something to do with it.
I'm having an interesting head problem.
I think that's right. It's kind of hard to tell with your.
This? Wait. The store?
Yeah.
The store 3 is something. That you don't know. Get rid of that. Oh, well, that doesn't matter.
Right.
No,
It
you
shouldn't
just,
make-
no, that shouldn't matter.
And yours too.
Oh, yeah, it's totally fine. And we're not even using those. No, so it's totally fine. I would just make sure that hit your. Wait, hit the go, the green button, which should toggle. Great. Okay, yeah, that's toggled, and you're in one.
Hello.
You figured it out?
Gate 1 1
Yeah.
1 0.
Maybe I'm not.
Bye. All right, let's look at this.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know why it's asking to read, why you're getting that dialog box every time you hit the go button. That's what's.
Okay. Interesting.
Get that window.
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry.
Here's what it said.
Yeah, okay.
You're close. It's something in your movie player is wrong. take a look at this interface patch. It'll be on the website, and try to figure out what you did different.
Is your guys' working now?
Mine is, yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Is yours not working at all?
It is now. It wasn't until I loaded the file though. You know, like, I actually go to the menu and manually select it. Even if it was, even if I just wanted to see b-ball, I had to go up and say, okay, press b-ball.
What's on your unpack here?
You mean the U menu?
Unpack and unpack.
Yeah, in the U menu.
One thing
Yeah,
that's
that's,
weird
it won't happen unless you select the file. You
Okay.
won't see it.
is, I feel like
My
this is,
laser's going
We're
into
gonna
a
do
different place.
Placing, I guess.
can you play the red ball?
This is going to
I
two
can try,
different
yeah.
places.
Only two of my
Oh,
sliders are
okay.
working, so
No, that didn't matter. That shouldn't matter. That's the back gate that just doesn't work
I'll
right.
just set some red.
We'll turn, can you turn?
Go into
everything
your
down except
storage
one red
window
ball?
again. Maybe it's like storing some kind of really weird
Looks sliders
values
2 and 3
somewhere.
are working, which is interesting.
Okay, good. I just wanted to see that. That's great. 'Cause
Yeah.
I feel like it should be full white.
I feel like when you're, I wonder if it has something to do with factor using 4, that it adds some intensities.
It adds the black intensity.
I think I know.
the,
Right.
yeah, no, that makes total sense because it gets full white if you add in.
How bright is your, can I see your b-ball?
No, when you change this, does it change the
So
movie?
they all mix
That's
together.
Yeah, so it's mixing the
So
black.
it like makes up for the intensity, so none
Hey,
of it's
Jackson.
too
Yeah.
bright.
So on
Is my
this,
theory.
Can you take red ball down? I just wanna
this
see
is
just
like
your
full intensity,
b-ball. I'm just wondering if
even though it is.
Okay, yours is dim.
Is it
Yeah, no,
because
that's
it's
what I'm
adding the
saying. Is
black
I
to
feel
that?
like it's making up. Like,
Well, if
when
those
this
are at
is it
0, it shouldn't
splits
be adding
up the
any black to it.
intensities.
Because if we do this
That's what I'm
form
wondering.
to red ball,
Right, then you're multiplying and getting twice.
so it looks like it's going to what should be, unless, or is that content not white? Is it like
I'm
a,
pretty sure the
It's
content's
pretty
white.
white.
It's white.
it should be white.
You might have your multiplication off. Let me see. What does mine look like when I load the ball?
I think the same thing.
Intensity issue or?
Yeah, it feels like an intensity issue, like it's not full brightness.
I thought maybe it was splitting up the intensities between all 4 of the sliders.
Damn it, my red ball's messed up. Hold on. We're not gonna have enough time to do OpenGL today, but that's all right. We were supposed to do OpenGL next week too, so we'll just combine the 2 segments together.
Next class.
Next class. You knew what I meant. Items. There we go.
Great.
Not many. What?
Wow.
Really? How many do we have left?
Is that right? That's right, right? It was just 3 weeks after spring break?
I feel like we have more than that.
4.
Oh, 4?
Yeah.
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 is our final project presentations.
How many classes? Semester's only half over?
There's like 14 weeks.
Yeah, semester's more than half over.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah, this is a good time to reiterate. Take a look at this final assignment that's due, that's coming up. This is ultimately what you're going to be building: a 4-channel mixer using that can do movies, pictures, and graphics. Live sources. I might change the live sources. We never did live capture in here. Yeah, and some of us have the Windows kids can't do live capture for it's a pain in the ass. Effect stack, ideally with serial and parallel effects. We still haven't gotten a chance to look at that. Hopefully we'll be looking at that in OpenGL. The matrix effects suck anyway. You want to use OpenGL effects. They're way better. Ability to bypass, turn everything off. Use model view controller as much as you can. I know we didn't get a chance to really go through that, so I'm not going to hit you too much on that. Definitely going to want to use a Pattrstorage system, everything being modular, and you're definitely going to want everything to be OpenGL optimized. The other thing is you also have a final project so you have a final assignment that has rules, and those are the rules. The final project is whatever, doesn't have rules. It's just whatever you want to do. I would definitely encourage challenging yourself. You know, just try something new. And let's for homework for next class. I'd like you to email me some ideas or some idea of something you might want to do for your final project, so that I can help guide you about what's going to be possible and what's the best way to do that. So please email me that, and then that will be the only homework, because the other homework I was going to do is to update this mixer with OpenGL, but we didn't get there. So the other homework is if your mixer that we went over in class isn't working, you got to get it working. And just look on the web. I'll have the class examples up there. Get yours working.
Did you look at your intensity?
Oh, right. I was in the middle of that when we got sidetracked. I had to fix my, because I had a bad. Mine was redball.mob, so I fixed that. Okay, save. And now redball.move. Take that up all the way. Rate of 1. There we go. You're right.
Cool. What if you disconnect your other 4 sliders? Does the intensity increase?
I don't think so. Maybe
Like
it's
right there?
maybe it's the range. Maybe it needs to go to 256 instead of 128. I bet you that's what it is. Because it's a char matrix that goes to 0 to 255. So it's only getting half intensity. So let's fix that in the couple minutes that we have left. So that's easy enough. Just go in here and just the easiest way to do that is just to change our source file of the sliders. So just go into this and say object, open original of movie vowels, and go to this, click on the slider, go into your inspector and change the range to 256. And save. Now go back, make sure you set your rate to 1. Load red ball. And I got full intensity. That's what it was. Good catch, Trey. Thank you. And yeah, just so you guys know why that was off.
Yeah,
because the kind of matrix that these movies are char matrices, and the char matrix is a char is a value, an int value from 0 to 255. So we were only getting a maximum of 127, so that we couldn't get anywhere better than half brightness. All right, cool. So next week we'll look at OpenGL, and it will be a whole new world.